Good morning. Thanks everybody for joining me. My name is Jeremy Jenkins, and I've prepared a special presentation today. I hope all of you like it. I think it applies to what we're all doing right now. On behalf of Team Kaizen 360, I want to share with you the story of priming the pump from the book See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. So he shares the following. One of the props I use in my conversations around the country is an old-fashioned chrome water pump. Personally, I love the history of the pump because to me it represents the history of pioneers, the history of the free enterprise system, and the history of life. To your benefit, I hope you've had the opportunity to use one of these outdated water pumps on at least one occasion. That experience will help you to appreciate the importance of this series of thoughts. Several years ago, two of my friends, Bernard Haygood and Jimmy Glenn, drove in the foothills of southern Alabama on a hot August day. They were thirsty, so Bernard noticed behind an old abandoned farm a water pump in the yard. He jumped out of the car, ran for the pump, grabbed the handle, and started pumping. After a moment or two pumping, Bernard pointed to an old bucket and suggested Jimmy get the bucket and get some water from a nearby stream in order to prime the pump. As everyone knows, you should put some water on the top of the pump to prime the pump to get the water flow to begin. In the game of life, before you can get something, you have to put in something. Unfortunately, there are many people who are in front of the stove of life and say, "Stove, give me a little heat, and then I'll put some wood in." Many times, the secretary comes to the boss and says, "Give me a raise, and then I'll start doing a better job and be more aware." Often the salesperson goes to his boss and says, "Make me the sales manager, and I'll really show you what I can do." It's true that I have not done much up until now, but I have to be in charge in order to do my best work. So you just make me the boss and then watch me go. Many times the student says to the teacher, "If I take home bad grades for this semester, my parents are really going to scold me. So teacher, if I get good grades this quarter, I promise I will study very hard next quarter." My experience has been that it does not work that way. If it did, I could easily imagine a farmer praying, "Lord, if you will just give me one crop this year, I promise to plant seeds and work hard next year." What you are really saying is, "Reward me, and then I will produce." But life does not work that way. You must first put something in life before you can expect to get something from it. Now, if you can apply this knowledge for the rest of your life, you can solve many of your problems. The farmer must sow his seed in the spring or summer before harvesting in the fall. He also puts in a lot of work before he reaches the harvest stage. The student puts out hundreds of hours of work before they acquire the knowledge and graduate. Today's secretary, who will be the office manager of tomorrow, puts a considerable amount of extra effort in her work. The athlete of today, who becomes a champion tomorrow, puts a lot of himself in the form of sweat and effort before he collects the reward of being champion. The young executive of today, who becomes the president of tomorrow's company, is that individual who worked for it. Today's marketer who becomes the sales manager tomorrow is the person who understands the principle of pump priming. When you put something in, the law of compensation says that you will get something out. So let's go back to my friends in South Alabama. Southern Alabama is hot in August, and after a few pumping minutes, Bernard began to sweat considerably. At that moment, he began to wonder how much work he was willing to do to receive the water. He was worried about the amount of reward he would receive for the amount of effort he made. After a while, he said, "Jimmy, I do not think there's any water in this well." And Jimmy replied, "Yes, there is, Bernard. In South Alabama, the wells are deep, and that's good, because the deep well produces cleaner, sweeter, better tasting water than any other." Jimmy is also talking about life, is he not? The things we have to work on are the things we most appreciate. What if you could get easily, or what if you can get easily is usually not worth much? If you could become a doctor in just a 6-week summer course, how much would it be worth? If you could be a super seller by listening to a 4-hour sales conference, the competition would be so intense that your commission would be considerably smaller. Go down the list and you will discover that those skills and goals that require blood, sweat, and tears are what bring true satisfaction and rewards. We go back to the pump. Now, Bernard was hot and tired, so he just raised his hand and said, "Jimmy, there's just not any water in this well." Jimmy quickly grabbed the pump handle and kept pumping when he said, "Do not make it stop now, Bernard, as if you do, the water will go all the way back down, and then you'll have to start all over again." That, too, is the story of life. There is no human being in existence, regardless of age, sex, or occupation, who does not occasionally feel that it may be that the pump is broken because there is no water down there. So if from time to time you feel that way, it should be comforting to know that there are a lot of people just like you. Now let's take a look at something interesting and obvious. There is no way you can look on the outside of a pump and determine whether it will take 2 more strokes or 200 more to bring the water. There's often no way you can look at the game of life and determine whether or not you will get the big opportunity tomorrow, or if it will take another week, months, years, or even more. This I do know beyond any reasonable doubt. Regardless of what you are doing, if you are willing to pump for enough time, hard enough, and with enough enthusiasm, sooner or later, the effort will yield the reward. I also know that just as you add nothing to the score if you stop at third base, you cannot quench your thirst with the water that almost comes out of the pump. Fortunately, once the water does start to flow, all you have to do is maintain a constant pressure in the pump and you will get more water than you can use. This is the story of success and happiness in life. The message is clear. Whatever you're doing, work on it with the right attitude and the right habits. But above all, stick to it with tenacity and persistence. Just as the flow of water is often a breath away, the sweet taste of success and victory is often a little further up the hill or just around the corner. Whether you are a doctor, lawyer, student, homemaker, pawn, or salesman, once the water flows, it is easy to keep it flowing with a little constant effort. We will never know how many young people lost a college scholarship because they did not study 10 more minutes each day, or how many employees missed out on a promotion because they did not stay on task just a few more minutes each day for a few more weeks, or how many sales were lost because the prospect was not given one more reason to make a decision today. I think of the story of the pump as the story of life and the system of free enterprise. I say this because it has nothing to do with age or education, whether you are white or black, male or female, overweight or underweight, extroverted or introverted, or if you are Catholic, Jewish, or Protestant. It has everything to do with your God-given rights as a free person to work as long as you want, as hard as you want, and with as much enthusiasm as you want to get everything in life that you really want. As you progress to the top, you must remember the history of the pump. Even if you start pumping casually or with little enthusiasm, you always have to pump before anything happens. Pump hard to start and continue like this until the water flows. Then a great thing is going to happen. Once the water starts flowing, you only have to keep the pressure constant, and the time will come when the reward will be so huge that you will get what you want instead of having to want what you get. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope that made a lot of sense. Hope that you can apply that in your life and in your business. I know that it's made a lot of sense to me, and that's why I'm still here. That's why I'm still working, because I believe that the water is just around the corner, right, or just in the next pump, and the success of our business is just around the corner. In the next few days and weeks, things are going to start happening. Things are going to be absolutely amazing in all that we're doing. So stick with it. Keep going, because you're just about to have the sweetest, cleanest water you've ever tasted. So with that, I'll let you get back to your Saturday. Thanks so much for taking a minute to be with me, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.